The other day, I had a father come in, and he's retired, and he's talking to me about some of his stressors and stuff like that. And what he shared with me was he had his old-time briefcase, and he opened up his briefcase, and he pulls out this. He's a number crunching kind of guy, and he gives me these 3 pieces of paper, and those 3 pieces of paper are a list of all of the money he's spent on his son. And he spent an incredible amount of money on his son. And what happened is he's talked about he's so concerned about his son's safety, because where his son once was on top of the world, he had lost everything. And he was really concerned because he didn't know what to do. His son was suicidal. He's tried talking with his son many times to get help, and he's refused all help. And so when he came to me, he was just desperate. He was into tears. And this guy's 65 years old, and he's worried about his son who's over 40. What do I do? Because his son is telling him, well, if you call the police, I'm going to kill myself. And so he's being held hostage behind his trying to make a good relationship with his son, but he's also trying to save his life as well. And this conversation about suicide has been going on for over a year. He's worn out. He doesn't know what to do. He's always afraid that the next phone call is going to be some call from the police that's saying that his son just committed suicide. There's something that you can do. I worked at the hospital setting, and I understand what it takes to get the kind of help people need when they don't want that help that they really need. So here's some strategies. Let me give you the scenario that unfortunately this person used and really got the relationship in a really bad position. And it would be the thing that most people would do. When his son was talking about suicide, and he was talking about, he was done with life, it's not worth it, he's just going to check out. In desperation, the father called the police and said, what do I do? I need you to go and see my son. So what happens is the police come, and they do what's called a welfare check, a wellness check. And what is the son going to say? The son's not going to say, yes, you're right, I'm feeling absolutely out of my mind, I'm going to kill myself, and I'm out of control. No. The son's going to totally minimize it. And then when the police say, okay, so you're really not suicidal? No, I'm not suicidal. My dad's overreacting. Well, then the police leave. And now what happens is the son now is really mad at his father. And now there's a relationship conflict. So he says, what do I do? I can't call the police, because if I do that, he's just going to lie to the police. And I just can't live another day knowing that I don't know when the next phone call is going to be. It's going to be my son dead. So I said, look, I know this is going to sound really mean, and it might sound scary, but this is what I want you to do. When you talk with your son and he says he's suicidal, I want you to ask some questions. I want you to do a mini assessment, okay? First, I want you to ask, son, what are you going to do? How can you even kill yourself? Now, this might sound crazy. You're like going, what are you doing, Emil? You're trying to talk him into doing it? No. The research shows that talking about suicide does not increase the likelihood of the suicide, okay? Talking about it actually diminishes the likelihood of suicide. But you ask, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Well, I've got a gun. Well, do you have bullets for that gun? Yeah, I've got bullets for that gun. You're not going to do it at home. There's no way you would do it at home. You're right, I'm not going to do it at home. I'm going to go up in the mountains. Now notice what's happening here. You are creating a solid case for when the police come to go do a welfare check, he can't lie his way out of this. There's no police that's going to get all this information. Now imagine this phone call, okay? The dad calls the police and says, look, I'm really worried about my son. He's threatening suicide. Oh yeah, what does he say he's going to do? He has a .38 special, okay? He's had it for 4 years. He has the bullets. He's told me where that gun is. He says he's going to commit suicide tonight in the mountains. Now, the police have to do something. They've got to go in there, and now he gets involuntarily brought to the hospital. It's called a pink sheet. They're involuntarily brought to the hospital, and now, in order for him to be released from the hospital, he has to talk to a psychiatrist, okay? He's going to be evaluated, And with all that evidence that says he has the means and the intention and the place to do it, they're going to keep him there. Now, you know what? And this is what I told the father. I just asked him a question. Do you want him to hate you for now and stay alive in hopes that he gets help? Or do you want him to think that you supported him and then have him kill himself? The answer was obvious. He decided that that was his plan. The first stage was, go and see me. Is he going to come see me? If he's not going to come see me, is he going to be suicidal? And if he's going to be suicidal, he knew the exact questions to ask. He was all prepared. It seemed like a huge burden was lifted off his shoulder. He now had a strategy. He was no longer held hostage to his son's relational emotion. So if you're in a situation where you may be approached or you have someone who's suicidal that you know, don't be afraid to gather information. We use that information to tell the authorities to, if they're not willing to get the help, force them to get the help that they desperately need.